What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to your morning session of Man United therapy, Man United transfer news, Man United rumours, Man United interviews, reactions, everything, all of that good stuff. Good morning to everyone. Hope you lot are good. First of all, pleasantries. Smash a like on the video. If you haven't done so already, get straight in there. I know you're thinking, flipping X Factor. I only just got here. I've only just got here.
Straight away, straight away. We're
Straight
not playing
away.
games this morning. There's a lot to
No,
get into. So click the like
exactly.
immediately. And then
Exactly.
what we'll do, we'll mention it 10 different times afterwards.
Yes, exactly. And also vote for us, please. It is pinned in the chat. You can see it right there at the top of the chat in the blue bar. Vote for us for any category you see fit. I think we're nominated for 3 awards at the Football Content Awards. So please get voting on there. Every single one. Vote in every single one. Even the one where you know I'm definitely not going to win that has Maya Jama and Fabrizio Romano in it. Just vote anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Wait a minute. You saying you're not as popular as Maya Jama and Fabrizio Romano? You say
I
you
am
don't have
saying
that
that.
influence?
I am saying I don't have that influence.
Wow. Don't put yourself down, mate. Don't put yourself down.
No, you got to be a realist. Big up to Mark as well. He's just joined the UV Members Club as well. Big up to you, Mark, the latest member to the family. And remember, any one of you guys, if you would like to, can also join the UV Members Club as well. The link is also to that in the video description below. What have we got this morning? We've got a lot because we've got to talk about no January transfers. John Murtough, Richard Arnold talking about Manchester United's finances yesterday, our plans in the shareholders meeting. So we're going to talk about that. More debt. Surprising? No, not at all. Dividends that went out. We knew that the dividends day came in June. We can talk about that. And the fact that John Murtough is basically saying we're ahead of schedule. We're already looking to the summer. When our manager already said the other day, I'm looking to January. So we're going to talk about that. Southgate backs Maguire. That was coming. We knew that was going to happen. A lot of people in the media have been having their say off the back of the Harry Maguire leaks from a couple of days ago from Mark Ogden. We're going to be talking about that. And also we're going to be talking about Ten Hag and Rashford nominated for Player and Manager of the Month award, respectively. Owen,
Yes.
straight off the bat, no January transfers, more debt. What's going on?
Right.
Ahead of schedule.
This is
What's
quite
going on?
heavy because there's a lot of numbers involved in this one for early in the
Right, take us
morning.
through it
So
slowly. What's going on?
yes, I will do my best. I've got my what they called an abacus out. You remember them? That's what abacus is. That's a good impression. Manchester United's financial results for 2022 were released yesterday. Some of the key figures: commercial generated 257.8 million, which is up 11%. Broadcasting generated 214.9 million, which is down 15.7%. Now, match day revenue was 110.5 million, which is up an astronomical 1,456.3%. Of course, that's because it's a year after having no people in the stadiums all season. So that's why
Yeah.
that revenue is up. Total revenue was up 18% to 583.2 million. But the key figures, I think the key figures that stand out were net debt. Now, net debt was 514.9 million, which is up 22.7%. Yes. Now, the wage bill actually rose by £61 million, was up to £384 million. There were significant costs as well last year, such as the compensation packages for both Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralf Rangnick, and all of the staff associated with them. That cost Manchester United £24.7 million. And despite the net debt being up by 94.5 million, there were still dividends for the year, of course, which were 33.6 million, which is actually an increase due to a deferred payment in the pandemic. So
Right. All
this,
right. Okay. So before you go into the next batch
yes,
of stuff, let's
yes,
pause it on this bit because there's some stuff I want to talk about in this bit here.
talk.
Right. Right. So just go back a bit. What are the ones that went up? Like in bullet points, what are the ones? What are the things that went up? Like
Pretty much,
revenue, like
pretty much
everything.
everything. Commercial revenue went up. Broadcasting was down slightly. As
Right.
most likely, I guess that's probably because league finishes and stuff like that. I would assume. I
Yeah.
don't know. Match day, of course, was up
Yeah.
astronomically, nearly
Yeah. Yeah.
1,500% because of that.
Yeah.
Total
That's fine.
revenue was also up nearly 20%. You could argue maybe that's
Right.
because of things maybe like Cristiano Ronaldo, right? All
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But net debt was up 22.7%
Right
to
there.
514.9 million.
So net debt was up how much?
22.7%, Flack.
To what? And it went up to what?
514.9 million
Right.
pounds.
So the debt is up 22.7%, right?
Yes.
And this is what's incredible because all of the other things that you would associate with a well-run football club i.e., bums on seats, but okay, the pandemic, um, revenue from ads and stuff like that, commercial, they always rise. And this here in this little segment literally sums up the thing that is Manchester United and how it's run, because the debt is also going up as a result of that. Dividends is still going out. What was it? 33 point something million in
Yeah,
dividends.
33.6 million pounds.
That literally there encapsulates, like, the debt's pretty much, it's 500 million.
Yeah.
500 million, and it's going up, but we're making more money. So if your best interest of the club in terms of clearing the debt and making Manchester United great again, right? If you're earning more money, you'll be like, right, that's perfect. We can start paying it off. Do you know how hard it is? Like, say you're in normal life, right, and you've run up your credit card bill, right? So because you're in debt. Let's say you're in debt in normal layman's terms, right?
Yeah.
Us as normal people, you're stuck in a rut because you're not earning enough to subsequently pay off that debt plus live. That's what
Mm.
keeps you in debt, right? If somebody said to you, well, I'll tell you what, your credit card's maxed out to 20 grand, you're struggling each month to pay it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you earn a lot more money, so that actually you can run your car, you can run your house, you can even make improvements to your house, and and who lives in it, i.e. the team, yeah. But you're also going to have money left over, if you'd like, to pay off your debt, to make you debt free. So you're in a better position. And it's like you turning that down and say, nah, I'm going to keep, nah, I'm going to borrow more. I'm going to
Mm.
make my credit card limit more. Like, it's
This is the thing with the
just
Glazers. This is
disgusting.
the thing with the Glaze family is that they bought the club by leveraging debt, and to this day, when did they purchase the club? 2005. Um, they've never paid off any of that debt. The only payments they've ever made are interest, so they don't default on any of those loans. That's it. And they've
Yeah.
come dangerously close on a couple of occasions. Like that debt's still there. Now, whilst they're in charge, whilst they're in the club, it will only ever increase. That's why we've got all of this talk at the moment about, when's a bid going to come in, or the possibility of Manchester United being sold, because it's not sustainable. And we are at the threshold now where investment, actual real investment, not self-sustainable investment that the club generates, actually outside investment is required at Manchester United, the
If you want to
stadium,
kick it on.
the training
Yeah.
ground. Well, not even that, just to keep it where it is, just to keep it, let alone progress. Like the stadium against falling apart, or the training ground's not what it was in comparison to the others in Europe anymore, or a million different things. And because of that, they don't have that money. So now the time has become of like, it might be time to sell, because we can't do this anymore. But in the meantime, as you mentioned, they're still going to take, whilst the debts are increasing, we're still going to take our money out because, it's our club. That's what we got to do. And this is another crazy stat, Flex. That's the wages. The wages at Manchester United have actually increased by 20% to 384.2 million, which is a new Premier League record as well.
Jesus. Do you know what I mean? So again, how does that work? So we have, been the worst that we've been as a club in since the Premier League began last season. Like,
Mm.
statistically, that was our
Yeah, yeah.
worst season, yeah, in every department, league finish, you know, stats, figures, percentages, everything, yeah. And yeah, we managed to go one better and break the Premier League record for the highest wage bill. That just shows you. I know, look, I'm not saying this should have been changed overnight, because this is part of last year. I know we're in a new period now where we're looking forward, um and we want to see these things, done, but we can only go off the last set of results that were published yesterday and talk about it. That's all we can do. We can't talk about next year's results and see if it's come down and we're no longer got the highest wage bill in the league. We don't know yet. But in a time where we were in our worst period, you know, we had our CEO, who's there in the bottom right hand corner, secretly filmed saying burning through cash. I'm looking around Carrington. I'm looking around Man United. Don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Don't know where the cash is,
Well,
mate.
even
Burn
he's
through it.
saying that. If you go back to those comments, even he's basically saying, "I look around Carrington, I look around at Old Trafford, and I go, where's
Where's
the
the
money?" He's
yeah,
basically saying this training ground is
it's
shit.
shit.
He's looking around. That's what he's saying. Two fans on
Yeah,
camera
where's
going,
it
"It's
been spent?
rubbish." Going, I
Where's
look
it been
around.
spent? I
Yeah,
can't see it. I can't
exactly.
see it. Even
It's
when you look
right.
around Old Trafford, as much as we love Old Trafford in a sentimental reason because it's our home and it
Mm.
holds so much memories, when I go there, do I get the same magic? No, not really. Not really. I love it because it's ours, and it's still amazing when you see the pitch and how big it is, and that's sentimental reasons. If I look at it from a practical perspective of looking at other stadiums and where a club of Manchester United should be in terms of what facilities we should be reflecting on and what we should have, because we are the biggest club in the world or want to still be known as that, then I don't get that feeling from Old Trafford. No, the toilets are just old and
We went
they're like,
crazy because there was a lick of paint. They painted
yeah.
those
When you
outside of
drive
it
past
red.
the Sir Alex Ferguson stand,
Yeah.
it's bright red now, and it's
Yeah,
like
and
it's like a
everyone
new
went,
stadium,
everyone,
but not.
but you know what I mean? And that's it's the bare minimum. That is quite literally, no disrespect to Ultra, but that is like polishing a turd. Literally,
Yeah,
that is literally. Let's give it a new lick of paint. Fixed. Well, it's not. It's not fixed, clearly. And there is no and that's the metaphor goes across Manchester United in that, isn't it? We're giving everything a new lick of paint. Yeah, but
mm,
it's still the same. It's still
exactly.
the debt's more than ever. Now, when it comes to some quotes, and this ties into this whole January, what's been going on, there's quite a few quotes here. So Richard Arnold, of course, the chief executive of Manchester United, said,
So
quote,
just quickly, as you do this, can we do some quotes and then maybe talk about one before we go on to the other? If it's like, because there was
yes.
some there where
Well,
I'm like, "Phew."
yeah,
Actually,
there's
that's the
a,
John Murto ones, but yeah, carry on,
Yeah,
carry on.
the Richard Arnold one basically has said, in response to obviously the poor performances last season, we have made important and necessary changes, including new leadership for the men's first team under Eric Ten Hag and the strengthening of the playing squad during the summer transfer window. So pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah,
Um, while remaining committed to long-term investment in the stadium, we will be disciplined in our capital plans, which must be sustainable and mindful of the macroeconomic pressures and inflationary environment currently impacting the UK and wider global economies, which you could argue is, whilst it's, that's smart business, basically saying, we've got to be mindful of where we're at right now, but also that could be perceived as an excuse not to spend in the future of,
100%. Got to be careful.
got to be careful,
Oh,
sustainable,
yeah, don't want
inflation.
to burn through more cash. I did say about burning through. I want to be accountable for all the money, so we'll just skim back a bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
could
exactly.
be interpreted by that. So it's not a witch hunt. It's not an agenda. We're going to look at it. We'll look at things, in both lights of
Hmm.
what's being said here. I mean, those the stats and figures before that we couldn't interpret in any other way. That's different.
No,
But
exactly.
this, when they're trying to say positive stuff about the squad and where Eric Ten Hag is and stuff like that, we'll look at that objectively.
Yeah. So next, he does the clear thing about being on a clear strategy to deliver sustained success on the pitch and a sustainable economic model off of it to the mutual benefit of fans, shareholders, and stakeholders. Which I pretty much that's like
Wow.
copy and paste. That's for everything.
Well, to the mutual hear that bit there. To the mutual benefit to fans,
Yeah.
shareholders, and stakeholders. Well, their interests are clearly being looked after in terms of the shareholders and the stakeholders. They're getting their dividends. You buy a share in Manchester
Well,
United.
you could argue with that. Yes, I agree with you when it comes to certain stakeholders, i.e., they get their dividends, the Glazer family. But to shareholders in the Manchester United company or business, with the share price going down, is that
Mm,
really them being looked after? If you
true,
invested in Manchester
true,
United, you might be looking at
true.
it going, "Wait a minute, my investment is worth less than it was at certain point last year.
Which is
Are
even
they being
worse
looked
because the
after?"
people at the top, i.e., the Glazers, are still
Still, yeah,
they're up, they're up.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
So you've
that's
got
true.
two groups
That's
of
true.
people that are pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
And he also says, we believe the building blocks for future success are being put in place, but we acknowledge that there is still much more for us to do this season and beyond, and that success will not happen overnight.
Okay, buzzwords, they're
Yeah.
they're the sort of bits where you say, "I'll say this because it's like it's true. No one can really come at me for that."
They're the chief executive comments. They're the sort of financial
Yeah,
of, like you said, buzzwords. This is when people really got talking. This was from John Murto, of course, football director at Manchester United. Bit of a polarizing figure after
yeah.
the summer, after his escapades in Barcelona, Turin. He went interrailing basically over the summer. He said, quote, there is still a long way to go, but we have already seen during his, referring to Ten Hag's first 4 months in charge, an increased unity, focus, and drive that bodes well for the future. So you would go, okay. He
Okay.
then says, overall, we are ahead of schedule in our recruitment plans as envisaged at the start of the summer, and we do not anticipate the same level of activity in future windows. As
Pause.
always, we are
Right,
planning
go
for
on.
focus. As always, we are planning focuses on the summer window. So there's two parts to that. It's basically saying we're already looking to next summer, January. Let's not even think about that. And
Right,
two, we are ahead of our recruitment plans as envisaged at the start of the summer.
right.
Take with
So
that what
let's
you will.
let's let's get into this bit. People in the chat, get involved in how you interpret those words. We don't want it to just be an echo chamber of what me and Owen think. This is important stuff. This is serious. So the director of football is basically saying that we're ahead in our development because bloody hell, we. This is how I see it. Anyone pull me up on this? This is my interpretation of it, right? We are ahead of where we wanted to be because we didn't envisage spending that much money actually in the summer. We had a lot of outgoings, which I know was a quote of that was necessary for the development. We had a lot of incomings. And because that's happened, he's basically trying to say two things, in my opinion. I think one, he's trying to say, well, because we've spent so well in the summer, we don't need to panic in January or add in January. We did so well in the summer.
Well
We
or
did.
much?
Say that again.
Is it we spent so well or we spent so much?
But I think he means both. Because they're happy with the quality. Because remember, the line is, we're happy with the business we've done. We've all heard those briefs from the club. We're happy with the business we've done. Judge us at the end of the window. We've got a much better squad than we did before. They're definitely happy with the business. And then you add that bit in, like what you just said there. And we've spent, they didn't expect to be paying 80 million for bloody what's his name for Anthony and things like that. So he's basically saying, in my opinion, that one, we've overspent because we didn't expect to spend that much. Two, we're happy with it though because look how good Ten Hag's doing. So three, we ain't spending it. I'm briefing you now. We ain't spending in January. Now my problem with that is you could in his defense and people in his camp, you could say, well, there was 6 players there, and like what the guy, the Arsenal guy said in the documentary. If you get to January and you need to spend loads, it's because something's wrong. You haven't planned, etc., etc. But I would counter that to say when your squad needs the surgery that our squad needs, and the manager needs the resources that our squad needs, and the players, I think continual investment is needed, whether it's January, whether it's the summer. And he's basically saying that the biggest thing for me was that it's in contrast to what Eric Ten Hag seemed to be saying last week. I could be overanalyzing that, but the first thing that came to my head was Eric Ten Hag last week, when asked what he's doing in this international break, said, we're planning. We're looking at January. We're looking at the summer. We need to change the structure of the football club. Really hard hitting, like I'm on this. And now it seems like a little bit of a ploy, in my opinion, to say, just brief the fans. Don't let them get excited about January because we're over. We've spent over what we wanted to spend. We're really happy with the squad and we're looking at the summer. That's how I look at it.
I look at it as, let's read through it. It says, overall, we're ahead of our schedule and recruitment plans as envisaged at the start of the summer. That last bit there is key. So basically, he's saying going into the summer, we envisaged maybe getting 4 players, 3 players for maybe 150 million, but we overspent. And not only that, we got desperate because we started the season. Because bear in mind, realistically, who did we start the season with in terms of signings? We started with Martinez, Eriksson, Malacia. I think maybe they envisaged getting maybe one more player in, or if not, that was going to be their fix. And then they had those first 2 games and they went, shit.
Yeah.
We need to get more. We need to spend more. We're in a lot of trouble because, as we've said before, Manchester United, whilst they've been criminally mismanaged for a decade or longer now, they haven't gone 2 seasons without being in the Champions League. It's always been one in, one out. And I think those first 2 results at the start of the season went, look at those financial reports, which they would have known at the time. They would have looked at those numbers and gone, I tell you what, we really, really, really can't afford to not be in the Champions League again next season. We really can't. And if we have 2 seasons when we're out of it, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay, let's roll the dice a little bit here. Let's eat into future budgets. Let's eat into January's budget, next season's budget, and let's get some players in. But the problem then becomes you have 2 weeks left. When you have 2 weeks left of the window, you overspend. So not only do you eat into January's budget and next year's budget, you eat into it tenfold, way more than you should do. And as he mentions now, we do not anticipate the same level of activity in future windows because he's saying, 1, really, the money ain't there to do it. And 2, who knows what the situation is going to be in the future window. In his mind's eye, he might think, wow, we've already got 5 starters. So realistically, in the next few windows, we should only need 1 or 2. We should only need 1 or 2 starters. We shouldn't need 5 or 6 players like we did this year. However, what happens if we do have a bad run of games again? What happens if we, if it comes to January and we are quite far off the top four? Then that panic will set in once again, because again, like the money always talks of all that kind of stuff. And I know he can say that we plan from the summer window, and realistically, it's probably smart. You can do bigger deals, better deals in the summer transfer window. It's not to say you can't do them in January, and you shouldn't do them in January. Sometimes you need one player or just another player, especially with injuries, suspensions, outgoings. You might need that. But realistically, what I hear him saying there is we plan for maybe 3. We plan to spend 150 million. We got caught with our pants down essentially at the start of the season because we were terrible. We really panicked because we thought we're going to not get top 4 and we're going to lose a lot of money this season. And then they overspent because they didn't have a lot of time left. And basically the window shut, and unanimously, probably for different reasons, Richard Arnold, John Murtough, probably Eric Ten Hag as well, and the Glazers all said, can't do that again. Cannot do that again.
Yeah,
Because 1,
100%.
it costs too much. 2, we weren't prepared. And 3, it's not sustainable. And maybe the Glazers are thinking we don't really want to spend that much money anyway, because
They
we
want to
want to
nip it in
sell
the
at some
bud
point.
and make it so we don't think that that is part of this new regime. Oh yeah, we'll spend 200 plus. Well,
It was
what do you spend this summer?
like over 200, and making a mistake. That was never, ever, ever the plan.
No. And if you would have said to us going into the window, what do you think we need to spend? Because remember, we were getting those bits of news that was like, oh, it's like 140 plus player sales, or at one point I think it was as low as 130 plus player sales. I remember doing a show of some journalists were talking about it's heavily reliant on who leaves and stuff like that. And when you look at player sales, I mean, what did we bring in from that? Andreas Pereira was what, 10 million? Bailly's on loan, doesn't count. Henderson's on loan. Lingard free. Pogba free. Tellez loan. What did we do on player sales? What did we actually do? 10 million.
Yeah, and again, this is my
Shit.
this is the point I've been making
Yeah.
before. When a couple
Yeah.
of days ago when we talked about the overspending table, and the United are highest of it, where you overspend on players and you give them big contracts, you will never ever see a return on investment, even slight.
No.
You will never
No.
get that, because clubs will look at that person and say, we can barely afford those contracts. If we're going to pick up that contract, we're not going to give you a high fee because we can't afford it. And 2, you spent Aaron Wan-Bissaka, no disrespect to him, but they'll say you spent 50 million on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We ain't
Yeah.
spending. We'll barely spend half of that. That's your
They'll
fault.
say you shouldn't have spent that in the first place because he weren't worth that. But now
Yeah,
he's even worse.
yeah.
So, no, we'll give you half that at best. At best. Do you know what I mean? We spoke about that, probably about 20 for him now.
Mm.
And that's just it. I think what they're trying to do here, with their wording, is obviously try to lean on Eric Ten Hag. I think there's a little bit of diversion there. Look, we got him. Eric Ten Hag's done good. Look at the
Mm.
unity. Look at this and look at that. And as fans, we can kind of get behind it, because if you're just looking at the playing squad and what Eric Ten Hag's doing, we feel quite positive about that right now. So that's like a deflection tactic where it's like, oh, you can't really come at me. It's true. Look at the unity from now to last year. All the players are saying it. Results have picked up. You lot love Martinez. You guys love Ericsson.
Mm.
You guys are falling in love with Anthony. You love Malacia. Look what we've got you. You know what I mean? So it does appease us, because in their minds, we've got them good players. We've backed Eric Ten Hag, and now there's an affinity that's growing between players and fans. Like,
Yeah, they're
so
sort of
they can lean on that.
they're essentially they're going, look at what we did spend though. Look at what we did do. And
Exactly.
you go, well,
Exactly.
that's great on the face of it. If
Yeah.
you literally had been, like, I don't know, in a coma for the entire summer, and you woke up and you saw United spend over 200 million, saw all these players, you go, I'll tell you what, that's not bad for Manchester United. But when you live through that on a day-to-day basis, and you know how they got there, which I suppose in the grand scheme of things, what do you care about? You care about results on the pitch and the players that they are there. That's fine. But when you know how they got there, you do look at that. That is not sustainable. You cannot have that every single summer, and you cannot have that every single window. The debt's high enough as it is. And I know people will go, and every time we bring up this conversation about money and all this kind of stuff, people go, oh, it's not your money. Why do you care? The reason I care is because I don't want people at the club to have an excuse not to spend. And they've already said it. This was always my thing when it came to people like Anthony. 100 million euros. It was way too much. And at the time, my concern was that come January, come next summer, they'll go, spent a lot last year, can't really afford it this year, and then we won't do a signing for whatever reason. And that is almost the definition of Glazonomics, isn't it? Of
It is.
well, it's always an excuse not to spend.
Yeah.
And the reason they're not spending is because they overspent last summer when they could have done things quicker and more efficiently, but the club doesn't operate efficiently. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
And
And
it's something that
they've already planted the seeds for it now. January, don't expect anything to
don't
happen,
expect
basically.
it.
Don't
Exactly.
expect anything to happen.
When literally Eric Ten Hag, and again, I'm not trying to back one off against the other and create a narrative here. I'm only being honest of how I read the situation. So if you guys disagree, 100% feel free to say, well, no, actually it means this, Flex, or you think it means that. I'm not trying to spark division here between the manager and the board, but it just seems odd that literally last week, off his own back, when they said, "What are you going to be up to in the international break?" He was just so forthcoming with planning for January, the summer,
He wasn't even really
structure at the
probed on
football
that. He
club.
wasn't put. He
Wasn't
wasn't
That's what I
asked.
mean.
He
Just
wasn't asked.
volunteered the
Yeah,
information.
a January plan's going to be happening soon. He just went, "What are you going to be
No.
doing in the international break?" And it might. Most people would have probably just gone, I'm going to take a few meetings, maybe spend some time with the family. Went planning for January.
Mm.
But bang,
Planning for just went
sets it all
straight in
out.
with it. And it's not to say that I mean, I know it says no January transfers there, question mark. And the reason why it is a question mark is because we're saying, is he saying that? It seems like he's saying that. I mean, it's not to say we might, we can't get one player in January. And look, as we know, if you're talking about the January transfer window in general, if you're going to try and get a Victor Osimhen, who they've just got out the group stages and they've got the knockout phases left at Napoli in the Champions League, and you're not going to get players that are top draw usually in January. It happens the odd time, I get it, but players that are playing Champions League at a really high level tend not to leave in January. But we've seen in the past, though, that it can happen. It all depends on the player. It all depends on the situation. It all depends on the money. And sometimes it all depends on how desperate the club is to get
Well,
that player in as well. But
also, we have to
it's
talk
not
about the
really our
World Cup.
style.
The World Cup's going to be an influence on that as well, isn't it? They're going to
Yeah.
be players that have a decent World Cup, and suddenly it's going to be like they're in the market for in January. But the World Cup always inflates people's prices anyway. So this January window is just going to be completely different from the others. So I'm fascinated to see that. And maybe again, that's what John Murto is saying. They're going, well, we wouldn't have really spent in January anyway, let alone after the World Cup. But after the World Cup, there might be key people injured. There might be key people tired. There's a lot of games after the World Cup as well. And you've got people coming back on a staggered basis, depending on how far they went in the tournament. So it would be, and maybe this is what Ten Hag is trying to say to those at Manchester United, it would be incredibly naive just to be going in blindly into January and be like, no, we can't. Well, we should be ready if something comes up. If something comes up, maybe we walk in going, it's unlikely, but if someone becomes available, if someone has a great World Cup, if someone gets injured, we need to be ready. We can't get caught cold, which is what happened in the summer on several occasions. We can't be caught cold. Failure to prepare, right? All that
Yeah.
kind of stuff is preparing to fail. There you go.
Yeah. 100%. Before we move it on, is there, first of all, Owen, is there any more quotes to get into from that, or is that pretty
That
much
is
it?
it. I'm
That is
quoted
it.
out.
Quoted out. Guys, make sure you smash a like on the video,
I've
subscribe
met
to the
my
channel.
quota.
If excuse the pun. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel. Remember, you can vote for us. Link is pinned at the top of the chat in the blue bar. You can see it there. You can nominate us, also vote for us. The nominations have been done. You can vote for us in all of the categories, so please do, no matter how likely it is that we win them. If you know, you know. At the Football Content Award, so make sure you guys do that. The members club is open for anybody to join as well. Mark did that earlier in the show, so big up to him. If you'd like to follow him and join the members club, you can do so. Link is in the video description below. And like I said, let's get them likes up. Let's go. And also share the video. Let's see if we can get up to 1,000 watching live. That'd be sick as well, because we're just under that. Hit share it on your social media pages, or share it to your friends in the WhatsApp group. United View is live, so hit that share button as well. Owen, what we got next?
Harry Maguire. We're going to talk a little bit about Harry Maguire being backed by Gareth Southgate.
No
So
surprise there. What's the third
no,
story?
no, exactly. So it was reported about an hour or so ago by David Ornstein that Harry Maguire is set to be given a much needed vote of confidence by Gareth Southgate, as
Of
the Manchester
course.
United captain is expected to start against Italy in England's penultimate match before the World Cup. However, it's not just via selection that Southgate is backing him. He's also been talking to the media and has spoken about whether he is putting his reputation on the line by maintaining faith in Maguire. He said, quotes, "Whatever my reputation is, I'm putting it on the line. You always have to trust your judgment, and we think he's an important player." When speaking about his partnership with John Stones, he said, Maguire, is our most dominant centre back in the air. He and John are amazing on the ball. So not only is he going to start, but also he is saying that he's staking his reputation on the line by picking Maguire. Those are big words. And
He says, but he's saying it's always a yeah. He said, but you know what? Do you know what, Owen? I'm not going to get mad at Gareth Southgate in this situation. I'm
okay,
not.
I will then. I will then because I'm not the biggest I'm not the biggest Southgate
You hate
fan
Gareth Southgate.
because
Not hate. That's a strong word, but
no,
you
no,
really
but
dislike him as a manager.
it's my thing is with him, and this is what people always say. They'll go, yeah, but he got to a World Cup semi-final and a European Championship final. When was the last England manager to do that? And you go, fair enough. Fair enough. I understand that. But also, you look at the runs he's had in those two tournaments, I don't know if you'll ever get those clearer runs to a World Cup semi-final or final, which realistically we should have got to, or a European Championship final. I don't think we'll ever get that opportunity again in terms of the opponents we had, the squad we had as well, particularly last year in the European Championship final. No disrespect to Denmark. You're playing Denmark in a European Championship semi-final at Wembley. Okay, that shows what was going on right there. We played Italy in the final at home. We went 1-0 up. We still didn't manage to win. Italy haven't even qualified for the World Cup. Okay, so let's not say this was an amazing Italy side or anything like that. The only difficult team we had to beat in that run in the European Championship last season was Germany, and it wasn't even a good Germany. It was Joachim Löw at the end of his German career. Now it's Hansi Flick. Go up against Germany today, Hansi Flick will wipe the floor with England because he is an unbelievable coach. And it annoys me because some of these weird affectations, picking three right backs in games, his obsession with fullbacks or defenders. And I get it because he also said about Harry Maguire, well, it's also a case of who else do we have? What do we look like when it comes to English centre backs? But I'm not having that like
Has
Gareth
Maguire
Southgate
been good for
system.
him? Has Maguire been good for Southgate every time he's played? Has he done right by the manager? Has he earned the trust of the manager?
Well, I suppose you could see what because they got to a semi-final and a final. That's basically what he's saying now. That's his
Yeah.
justification,
Is
isn't
he
it?
is he
Well,
just is he
I got
justified in
to a
saying that?
I got to a semi-final and final, therefore I'm going to continue to play him. But my counterpoint is you should have. You should have got to a semi-final and final. Look at those games. Look at the squad that you had. Make no mistake. I mean, especially last year in the Euros, you'd put that squad up against anyone's.
So
You really
by
would.
that right then, does that not mean that now's the final, semi-final, final? Let's see. Then you're out.
Oh
By
yeah,
his
yeah. I
logic,
was, I was, I
if he
wasn't.
said,
I
yeah,
wasn't gonna I'm not after because when we lost in the finals last year, people were like, "Oh, sack Southgate, or get rid of him." You
how'd you do
can't.
that?
You can't.
How'd you do that?
You
We
cannot
were
do
all at
that.
our TV screens going, "It's
Yeah,
coming home," like
you
genuinely believing it. One
yeah,
nil up
what
as well.
and
Like,
the reason we believed it, Flex, is because we had an easy run to the final and an
yeah,
easy final in comparison. At home, it was basically a home game. So I know we played one game away, but they were
yeah.
all at Wembley apart from that. That's why we were saying it's coming home because we thought, oh, I can't believe it.
So
We've
should
never
he go
had
back
this
on what he said
opportunity.
and drop him? Should he go back on like what he's always done for Maguire and drop him?
What he should do is live up to his word because every single England manager does this. When they get the job, they go, I'm going to pick players based on form. And if you're picking players based on form, you wouldn't pick Harry Maguire. If you're going to pick players based on playing games, you wouldn't pick Harry Maguire. It's twofold. And as I mentioned, this is what was wild about it, is the day that England squad was announced, when was it, last Thursday, whenever it was, when we were playing that Europa League game against Sheriff, he didn't pick Jadon Sancho, but he did pick Shaw and Maguire. On that day, Jadon Sancho scored for Manchester United, and Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw didn't play. That's the difference between Eric Ten Hag and Gareth Southgate. You pick players that are playing.
There are massive differences between Eric Ten Hag and Gareth Southgate. I do agree
Yeah.
with that. I just feel that you get exhausted, and everything you say, I agree with. By the way, I'm just kind of giving you a bit of devil's advocate there, but no, I agree. It's at what point at what point do you show others that, it matters what you're doing at club level? It really, really matters. But on the flip side of that is that players aren't stupid. They're our favourites. They're our
Oh
favourites.
yeah,
There always has been in this England team, whether it goes back to the golden era where we had all them players and still didn't achieve anything. There were still favourites then, whether it's Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Rio, Terry. Like, there's certain men who are definitely getting in. Do
those,
you know what I mean?
but you can't even
Obviously,
have
they're
those in
top.
conversation. You can't even
Yeah,
have
I'm
those in
not.
the same
Yeah, I'm not saying
conversation.
Harry Maguire is the same level as that. Of course not. But what I'm saying is that there's always favourites. But what's worse about now, like you was just saying there, is that some players are favourites that just aren't very good. Like, literally not tearing up trees, not playing well. But Gareth Southgate, I said it many, many times before, doesn't surprise me one bit. Gabby Agbonlahor said it on the radio yesterday, and he says a lot of crazy stuff. But I even said it before, that Harry Maguire could not play for Man United. He played like a couple of games from now to the World Cup in the Europa League, one Premier League game in rotation or something like that, couple Premier League games. Basically, not be the main starter, hardly play for Man United. He'd still walk in and start for that England squad, which is not only bad for meritocracy, but it's bad for you're picking a player going into a massive tournament that's harder than the Euros, by the way, because you're adding in the South American teams now. This is a harder
Yeah.
tournament. Not even the South American teams. We got to play USA. Like, we haven't even beaten them in the major tournament. I don't even think we have. Like, you can say laugh, Ted Lasso, this, all this. It's still a hard game. Hard game. And
Yeah, I
then,
mean, but this is the thing. This is the thing that annoyed me before. Like, okay, USA is a difficult game. I get that,
yeah.
but we should beat them.
Yeah, we should. We
We
should.
should beat them.
We've
And
always should
and
have just beaten them, though. We never have.
yeah, or like even if I go back to the first group stage game we had in the Euros was against Czech Republic. I think it was at Wembley.
Croatia.
Was it Croatia? I forget which
Yeah,
one
I
it
was
was.
there. I'm sure it was, yeah.
Either
Croatia.
way, well, I forget which one it was, but he played 3 right backs or whatever in that game.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, we won 1-0. And everyone goes, see, justified, won the game. And you go, yeah, but like barely. And let's be honest, when you're facing someone like the Czech Republic at Wembley, no disrespect to them, but you should be beating them more than struggling 1-0. Like, look at the players we've got. That is like an all-star team of the Premier League and a select few
But
leagues across
is it?
Europe.
But then going back to that, I mean, this is like an England chat now, but it is related to Harry Maguire. Is our team as good as we think it is?
Well,
Is it?
if you're playing Harry Maguire, maybe not.
No, but even if you had like Ben White in there, or like someone
There
else
are
like Mark
there are
Gay, or
certain
like say you switched it for some player. Say we drop Harry Maguire and put Ben White there.
yeah.
Yeah, he'd be there off merit, but how good is he? But how good does that make him? Like, how good is he? Do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean, look,
Luke Shaw
I understand
is
there are
injury
certain
prone
positions, and
and
this is the
that.
issue with
Who's
international
wicked? Who's a
football.
wicked left back for England? Ben Chilwell's okay going forward, got his injury problems. All right, cool. Luke Shaw's been there for ages. We know what he's all about. Who's amazing?
But this is the thing with international football, is it not? Is that very rarely in international football do you have an entire squad that position for position is amazing. You just
Yeah.
happen. It's funny how sort of generational waves work, isn't it? And that suddenly you just get, but like we sort of have now with England, got an abundance of attacking players. Defensively, you do look at it and you go, are some of those players good enough? But also then you start getting into, well, the question about whether or not, the options are good enough, then that is when you get into, well, who's playing well? Who's playing?
Mm,
Which English centre backs are playing at the moment? Who's playing well? Harry Maguire doesn't tick any of those categories.
no.
And to be honest, I'm not even going to go as far as to say of Gareth Southgate's insistence on picking Harry Maguire is going to lead to his downfall, because I don't think it is. I don't know if it has that much to do with it. I think Gareth Southgate's downfall will be based on
Yeah,
himself.
just his
It'll
tactically and just
yeah,
how he sets things up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because he's done it twice. 2 big games, World Cup semi-final, European Championship final. They're the same game. We went 1-0 up early on, and we couldn't manage the game or see it out. That comes down to the tactics of the coach. The coach could not see out that game for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And when he went up against better coaches, i.e. Roberto Mancini in that final, just the coach just outdid him. Better coach.
When Southgate froze, when you could tell the game was getting away from us, and he just wouldn't make the changes until late, he just froze. I think that was just sheer stage fright, sheer not knowing what to do. Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and if we would have won on penalties, it all would have been forgotten about. I get that, but I think there's a lot of evidence there to suggest that,
Hindsight's a wonderful thing after one game, but let alone two, that essentially the same circumstance happened. You
yeah,
would say, well,
exactly.
you haven't learned from your past mistakes there.
Yeah.
This definition of
Jane
insanity.
Jamie Assey says, if you don't get anyone in January, you won't get top four. Arsenal are in for Grealish in January. Zane, I don't know where you've woken up or who's got your phone,
In a
who
bush, in a
logged in.
ditch.
Like, it sounds
He's,
like it literally sounds like he's out in the forest, like because something's happened to him. I hope he's all right.
sometimes when you wake up and like you're falling asleep with your phone in your hand, and then you see like the screen up a little bit, and you think, did I just like send stuff to
Yeah,
people? Was I on
it's
my phone or
that.
whatever? That's what Zayn Miasi's doing. He just woke up, he went, Grealish in January. What did I send?
Zane Miassi also says Saka is the playmaker for England and Ramsdale first world-class keeper since Seaman.
Only Arsenal keepers.
Bloody hell. I mean, Zane, you got to admire how much he loves his club, I suppose. I'll give him that.
Look, the English
You know.
goalkeeper thing's been a thing for ages, really. You go
Yeah, yeah.
through people like, Joe Hart was never a big fan of him. I mean, how many mistakes did he make for England? I think Ramsdale's got an excellent opportunity to be England's number one. He probably should. If you've got a person like Southgate who wants to play in this faux progressive style, like that's what annoys me with Southgate as well, is you feel like he's almost trying to be too clever. He wants to be
Yeah.
like Guardiola, but he's not.
Keep it simple, Fleck.
You're not Guardiola. That's the issue.
Yeah.
But he tries to
No.
be Guardiola. But if you've got a keeper like Ramsdale who can play out from the back, play him.
Yeah.
Play him.
I saw an article the other day. I only read like the first paragraph because I was busy, so I didn't read all of it. I probably should have. And it was basically talking about Jordan Pickford, saying that there's this lazy narrative that he makes loads of mistakes and he's done this, and they just labeled they just done the stats thing of saying he hasn't made as much mistakes as people think. He deserves more credit than people give him, and he's been England's best goalkeeper since XYZ. And it was an article that was just basically giving him praise. I should have read it. Maybe out of bias, I didn't.
I'll give credit to Pickford again.
But
I'm not the biggest Pickford fan, but
yeah,
in fairness, you would say at the Euros last year, he was very good. I
ain't it
thought he
like Harry
did very
Maguire though?
well.
Ain't Maguire been done very well there? Years.
Did Maguire do really well did you come out of games last year at the Euros and go, I tell you what, Maguire played really, really well today? I can recall a couple of games where I thought, I tell you what, Pickford did well, made big saves. One was against, I might have been Denmark.
I can't remember. Your memory's
Can't
good.
remember.
I've watched all the games live, but my memory's crap. I can't.
But
I
he
can't
was
remember.
terrible in the league, basically coming into it, and then he had and everyone was like, "Why is Pickford playing?" And then he had a good
Yeah.
tournament. You went, "Fair enough."
Well, that's
But
what happened with Sterling as well. Everyone was saying he's shit. Get Grealish in.
yeah,
Why is he starting? And then look, Sterling was flipping basically single-handedly carried us through the groups when Harry
yeah,
Kane weren't scoring and doing anything.
exactly. Although I
So
play
yeah,
Ramsdale today, I would play Ramsdale. I think Sid's injured
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Look, but just to finish off on Harry Maguire. Look, obviously he's going to start. Obviously, Gareth Southgate's going to give him confidence. But here's the other thing. Obviously, he's going to come back and he ain't starting
No,
for Man United. So,
no.
if you need to do that, Southgate, for your team, obviously we're English as well, so it does affect us some way. But in the Nations League, we haven't been doing too good. We got smacked by Hungary in the last round. Was that 4-0 at Molineux?
God,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Then
did.
it was a 0-0.
Oh,
Before that, I think. Well, we've been awful recently since the
yeah,
Euros. We've been crap. So, and this is the last batch of games before you go into the World Cup, because I thought that there was that period where we go and play the warm-ups and that, but there ain't.
yeah. It's no
They
time.
literally, it's just 8 days. The
Yeah.
season finishes on like the 13th or 12th of November. There's 8 days until England's first game. So
Mm,
this is where he needs to get his team nailed down about what he wants to do. And
yeah.
if you think Harry Maguire's going to be part of that, then hopefully Harry Maguire plays well for England and he's not
Yeah.
the headlines, because it's all going to come crashing down on him if that's the case. Again, smash a like on the video, peeps. Subscribe to the channel if you lot are new. We are so close to 1,000 people watching live. So if you could just hit that share button, I think we can do it. We're at like 960 odd. We can get an extra 40 people watching
Or
live.
hit the like button, and the algorithm will do the work for you.
The algorithm, 100%.
Yes.
Exactly. Remember, you can join the members club. The link is in the video description below. And pinned to the top of the chat, you can vote for us in all the categories at the Football Content Awards as well. And you can vote on Instagram. It isn't just Twitter. You can go onto the Football Content Awards, choose the categories. You'll see who's in what, and then you just at United View, at Flex, whatever it is it says to do there, and vote for us on Instagram as well. If you're not a Twitter user, if you're just an Insta person, then you can do that, and vice versa. Obviously, you can go onto Twitter or their website and go and vote for us as you see fit. Speaking of
Yeah.
voting, nice little
Oh,
segue that.
that was
Look at
good.
that. Fleck is just
Yeah.
listen. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I apologize for the slickness this morning. I
Yeah.
apologize. But speaking of voting, Ten Hag has been nominated for Manager of the Month, and Rashford has been nominated for Player of the Month. But we do Ten Hag first.
Yes. So
Who's he up
Manchester United,
against?
he's up against Antonio Conte of Spurs
Yeah,
and Gary O'Neill of Bournemouth. It's a bit of a weird one because
it is a
obviously
weird one. But they did
there's
well.
only
He has
2
done
games.
well.
Well, it's only 2 games.
Yeah,
There's only
yeah.
2 games that they're going off. Now, if you want to look at the stats, Conte played 2-1-2, goals for 8, goals against 3, a goal difference of +5. Gary O'Neill played 2, 1-1, drawn 1, lost 0, up for Manager of the Month.
I
And
think that's just because they got no manager and he's the
yeah,
caretaker. Yeah.
exactly. And Eric Ten Hag, of course, played 2-1-2. Goals for is 4 and goals against 1. Only conceded 1 goal with goal difference of 3. You can vote for Ten Hag. You have to go to the Premier League, I think, website
Let's
or
do
on
it.
the app,
Yeah.
and he could get Manager of the Month. Do you think he deserves it in comparison to? Let's take Gary O'Neill out of it. It's
Mm.
unlikely he'll win that one. Him or Conte? Who do you think deserves it?
I mean, they dusted up Leicester 6-2, didn't they? Scoring loads of goals.
Yeah, I mean Leicester,
Oh, Leicester rock bottom of the league. What 2 games is it in September? Who do we play? Arsenal
Arsenal, and
and
is it
Leicester.
Leicester?
Yeah, because we had
Yeah,
Leicester, then it was the Arsenal game, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
yeah,
So we've only played shit because of that long break. It's only been 2 games
yeah,
we played.
yeah.
So we played Leicester and Arsenal, and Spurs played Leicester and Wolves. Yeah. I mean, Leicester, I don't know, I'm not going to say scraped a 1-0, but it was a professional performance. Leicester were actually playing well against Spurs. I was watching that game.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Uh,
It
Speaking
was
of
so
goalkeepers
weird.
as well, I don't want to go in too much, but
Oh,
Danny Ward,
yeah. Awful. Oh, no, look, it was two. Was it? It was Fulham. They beat Fulham 2-1. That was close.
give it to Ten Hag then. He beat Arsenal top of the league. You know, were
100%.
playing
We
well.
took Arsenal's record. We made
Exactly.
them not invincible. We made sure they're definitely not going to be invincible this year.
Especially he did that when Arsenal had nothing to fear. They came to Old Trafford and they couldn't fear any of our players or
They
anyone,
came
and we
there
still beat
saying
them.
that Arsenal, the best team they've beat is Fulham, and they beat big teams.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it's got to be
Well,
Ten
maybe
Hag.
maybe that's why Conte should get it. He beat a big team like Fulham as well, you know?
That's true.
You beat a big
That's
team.
true. By the Arsenal fans' logic, that's true. It should go to Conte. But no, I'm going to say Ten Hag because it'll be his first Manager of the Month. In his second month as well would be nice to get.
Yeah,
That'd be a nice little morale boost. I mean, he won't care. He'll be so like, "Thank you, it's great, but
yeah.
cool."
He would
Yeah,
literally
you're
he'll
not
just
gonna.
get the finger, he'll just go,
Yeah, a little awkward silence. This is to everybody. We keep working
yeah,
now, eh? Put it
yeah,
aside. Gone.
yeah. Very
But
very
it'll be
nice.
nice. It'll
Eh?
be nice. It'll be yeah,
Very
exactly.
nice, eh?
Very nice. He'll bring it home. We'll put it on his mantelpiece. Get the wife to put it in the cabinet or something, and then
Mm.
that'll be it. But no, it would be nice for Ten Hag to get it. I hope he does get it. You can argue that Tottenham have scored more goals than us in that time, but like I said, I think taking the scalp of Arsenal of all people is
Yeah.
massive. Beating Fulham and then rock bottom Leicester, or beating top of the league. Haven't lost the game before they came to you, and obviously beating Leicester as well. So obviously we're a little bit biased, but I think Ten Hag should get it.
Yeah, and
It's a
considering
chat
the
saying.
turnaround as well, you know, that's the real remarkable thing with United, isn't it? It's not only the results, but how he's galvanized the players, how he's turned around a side so quickly that was terrible in those first 2 games to beat, and as you mentioned, top of the league, who had won 5 games in a row. That's not bad
Yeah.
going by Eric.
Manesh says, no, 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 don't give it to Eric Ten Hag. I don't want to lose the next game. Well, because Arsenal fans have this, don't they? With Mikel Arteta's recently broke that 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 judge basically of like when you get the manager of the month, you go and lose the next game.
Mm.
But they didn't obviously because it's Brentford that they beat. But um, listen, superstition. I think it would be nice for Eric Ten Hag to get that. And moving on, Marcus Rashford
This one's
is
quite
nominated.
challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, he's nominated for Player of the Month.
Player of the month, he's up against Philip Billing from Bournemouth. He's got up against Kevin De Bruyne from Manchester City, Højbjerg from Tottenham, Iwobi from Everton, and
Oh,
Jacob
listen,
Ramsey from Aston
it
Villa.
what I've got to say this, right? I have to say this. I've been watching a lot of Everton and Alex Iwobi in particular because I just find it fascinating that he's playing centre midfield now.
Yeah, winger in
Bro,
the
he's actually,
pitch.
bro, he's good. Like he's been playing. Like I'm like, how's Iwobi doing this? I don't know what. Please put in the chat if you lot have been watching. If you watch a lot of other Premier League football like we do here, every game Everton have played because they've been losing a lot. They've been hanging in there, a couple of
Draws.
draws and that. They got a big win the other day, but by and large, just Iwobi, he's doing things with the ball, and I'm like, he's
Do you
he's
think
an
it's just
eight.
because? Do you think it's just
He's an
because
eight.
nowadays, like with the central midfielders, we just assume that it's just like their kind of program, just pass side to side, maybe an occasional pass forward. So when you actually do have a winger that can travel with the ball a little bit from this time from the middle of the pitch, you go, oh my goodness, like
No, but the thing is, Owen, you know what? What I agree with you, but when I'm looking at his game, Owen, it ain't like doing winger stuff. He's doing like thoroughbred, like okay, let me not get stupid here and mention some big names. Let me not do that. I'm not going to do that. But basically, in terms of keeping the ball moving, taking the ball in tight spaces on the half turn, scanning before he gets it, playing balls between the lines, winning back possession, and then give like he's doing thoroughbred centre mid stuff, and I'm like. He's playing as a progressive eight. Like I'm like, fuck
so
hell.
you're saying he should get the
Ah.
award.
I'm saying big up Iwobi because you know what? He's done really well. But who else is there?
Philip Billing from Bournemouth, Kevin
Yeah,
De Bruyne from Man City,
yeah,
Højbjerg. I know.
yeah.
It's just peas. And Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa as well. I think De Bruyne is going to get it, to be honest.
De Bruyne will get it because he's just been
Yeah.
putting on a plate for Haaland and they've just been smashing it. So that would be De Bruyne. It would be nice. It would be really nice for Marcus Rashford to get that though, because if you talk about
Oh
most
yeah.
improved, talk about most improved. I mean, I'd say even Iwobi was better than Rashford last season, and Everton were in a relegation battle. That's how poor Rashford was. But if you're talking about the most improved out of that bunch, it's definitely Marcus Rashford from where he's coming from. And for him to just get that little bit of confidence, I think Rashford is the sort of player that would quite like to get that
Mm.
secretly. He wouldn't show it like oh he's flossing it out on his Instagram story and that, but I think secretly that could just help him. Anything that can help Marcus just keep getting better, I want. But
Do you think you could have the picture, Ten Hag and Rashford, both with their
that would be
awards?
nice. Yeah, it'd be nice. Oh, if they both win it, they'll definitely do that. But Rashford ain't
Mm.
going to win over De Bruyne, I don't think. No.
I think De Bruyne
Um,
probably does win it. I mean, look,
yeah,
let's
I'm
be
not. I'm not even
honest.
sure if Ten Hag wins it.
In terms of recent performances, Rashford's clearly, in terms of numbers, the best he's played in ages.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again, up against those people, I feel like they'll want to because they always want to recognize De Bruyne, and they should because he
yeah,
is unbelievable.
yeah,
And he has been playing well recently too. You can't. It's not just they wouldn't just give it him for the sake of oh, he's Kevin De Bruyne. He has played well recently too.
yeah.
Um, but I just saw Sophia said that Haaland won it in August. Would they give it to a City player back to back months? And
Maybe,
also, this is
maybe.
wow. And also as well, this is voted. Is it a pure popular vote or is it weighted against the Premier
Yeah,
League's
true. It's the
pushing
fans.
as
Yeah,
well?
because I was going to say, is it just the fans who vote in?
Because
You
if
know.
it's the fans, then Rashi's got a chance.
Yeah, because there's way more Man United fans
Yeah,
than there are
exactly.
Man City in its totality. So I hear that. And just quickly, there's a couple of little things I want to talk about just off the bat. Just quickly before we do that, again, remember to smash the like on the video. Vote for us. You can vote for us at the Football Content Awards. Link is pinned at the top of the chat, and you can join the UV Members Club as well. And make sure you click subscribe to the channel. Just really quickly, last couple of minutes off the bat. Just the international games. Did you see Christian Eriksen's goal?
I did. I did see his goal. It was unbelievable. An absolute rocket against Croatia.
How easy he does it. When you look at like the touch he takes, he just turns, strokes it into the top corner. Oh,
I mean,
Christian Eriksen.
can you say what you sent me when you sent me the video of the goal?
Let me look. I think I said I the e I do have an e-gender. Yeah. I think I said I effing love this guy, didn't I? Did I say that?
I don't know. There was a lot of love heart eye emojis.
What did I say? Where is it? Uh oh mate, I don't where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, love emoji. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I put one, two, three, four love heart emojis with the eyes, love struck emojis. You put two fire emojis back, and I said, effing love this guy. is what I said. So there you go. And did
Real.
you see? Well, what can you say? It was, it was Ericsson and Modric on the pitch, the two best midfielders in the world right now. So just true, isn't it?
Come on.
What?
You know what you're
What's wrong with
doing
that?
there. You know what you're doing there.
Two best
Right.
midfielders in the world right there, mate. Right now. What?
No.
Steph Jake said I fell asleep with the phone in my hand. No, I actually meant to send that.
Yeah.
No, he was amazing. He was amazing. And also another player that was amazing was Rafa Varane.
Yeah,
He was
you
just
sent me again. You sent me a comp and went, "Look at
sorry.
this guy! Look at
Sorry,
this guy!"
sorry,
Well,
sorry,
this was
sorry,
before
sorry.
the. This was
I just
before
wanted
the
to make
show.
sure you got your research and then you know.
Yeah, this was before the show. Flex was like, "Watch this! Watch this! I'm going to send you that." Well, first of all, actually, you were just making noises. You were just. We were getting ready, preparing. I could hear you go, oh, and I'm like, side. I go, "What is going on here?" And then you went, "Look at this!" And it was an impressive compilation. Yes, I could hear you go, switch.
Yeah, left foot ping. Listen, Owen, yeah, and the community. Just quickly, we got Christian Eriksen for free. Do you know how nuts that is? I know we keep that like, yeah, you can say the whole, I've got to pay big wages, probably on 150 grand a week, whatever he's on. But there was no transfer fee for that player, Christian Eriksen, free, zero money. Oh God, I don't want to do player. See, I haven't had a player's name on the back of my shirt for ages. I just want to get an Eriksen shirt. Is that bad?
You could do what you want, mate.
On one of the shirts I've already got, so it's not.
No, actually, no, you can't. You can't do that. No.
I'll
I don't
jinx
even
it.
know why I considered it. Why did I even consider that? I
I'll
mean,
jinx it.
considering your
Yeah,
record, yeah. Oh my goodness, no.
but I haven't got a record for having any of the players on the shirts.
Yeah, but just your record of whatever you touch.
The
Remember,
last
you
player
don't
I
understand
had.
the touch. You don't understand the touch. Okay, no. Did you shake hands with Martial during the tour? By the way, or fist bump or anything like that? I think that's a real possibility. Oh, you did, didn't you? That is just clicked in my head right now. It all makes sense.
Lil Yo-Yo told me to buy a Sony Ericsson instead.
Am I gonna have to go back through that tour footage and find?
No, you don't, because I do remember. Even if it wasn't on camera, I know I definitely did. I fist bumped him. But why are you not saying that it's KG? He's the one who said, "Oh, get 20 goals, 20 assists." He really stuck it on him.
Did he say that to Martial? I swear he said that to Rashford.
Yeah, he said it to both.
He said it to Rashford and Sancho, and guess what? They did it. It's the opposite.
No, he said it to Martial as well. He said it to Martial. Josh is saying he said it to Martial as well. Josh was right there. He did.
It's the kajudge. Okay, it's the opposite. Kajudge. Yeah, exactly. KG added it, and then you took it away. Okay, the
Well, if he
kajudge
comes
is
back,
real.
if Martial comes back and still carries on doing what he's doing, then you all laughed at me. Do you know what I mean?
That will be that, and that's KG's judge working overtime to beat yours. The kajudge.
Why are you not just making stuff? You can't just make. You're making this shit up. You can't just say that this is what it is.
There is a track record. There is a track record.
There
There is
that Brighton one was the worst. That was the
one. Not even that one. You touched it 4 times, and it was 4-0. I mean, it was literally 1, 2, 3, 4. You are the guy that knocks. You knocked on. You knocked on the goal, and we be careful. I've been saying this. You've got to be careful, Fleck.
I'm a changed man now, man. Changed man. I'm going to stop now, though. I'm going to stop publicly declaring my love for Eriksen and Varane now, though. Everyone knows it. I don't need to say it ever again. I'm not going to. All I'll do is like the eyes or just go like that. I'm not going to actually say anything now. There's no point. People just going to think that.
You can be yourself, Flex. Don't hide your emotions.
All right. Okay. All right. I will. On that note, we have finished the show today. Like I've said many times today, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and vote for us in the Football Content Awards. And you can join the Members Club in the link in the video description below. What day is it today? Friday. We'll be back with another video for you guys over the weekend. And hopefully our players continue not to get injured. I think Malacia was on the bench as well, which is good. That's fine.
Don't put that out there. Just don't put it out there. Just wrap up the
Right.
show.
Goodbye. We are out of here. Peace.